waging war, it's how the heck do they get people to fight? That's the age-old question of government. How do they get the people to fight the war and the public to support them? What young people do in high schools, in colleges, in the military has the potential to completely change the United States. And what happens in the United States is going to determine what happens on the rest of the planet in terms of war, in terms of global warming, in terms of all kinds of stuff.
I was in Iraq, Al-Ramadi, part of the Al-Anbar province, from September of 04 to February 26, 05, the day I got wounded. I've never met anyone personally that has said that they've never been lied to get into the military. When you sign that dotted line, when you enlist, you cease to be an individual. You know what's going on, you know what they're telling you, it's lies. When you sign that contract, they expect you to fulfill every obligation on there, but the military doesn't have to, and it's on the contract.
They spend $4 billion a year to try and figure out how to get young people to join. We call it the military recruitment complex because there's a whole complex of research institutions that spend millions of dollars studying how your brain works and using cutting-edge advertising. The last campaign before this one was Army of One. Everyone heard of that? It was done by the same people who did the Marlboro Man, Kellogg's Corn, Tony the Tiger, and the Pillsbury Doughboy. The videos, has anyone seen the Army Strong videos on TV? They're done by the same fellow who did Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Green Day, Rolling Stones. Who here has played America's Army? There's always at least a couple folks. It's an online shooting game which is now being moved into video places. It's got millions of downloads, and 20% of the people who join the military have played America's Army. This is their latest recruitment campaign. It's called There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. But when your government has 2.5 million soldiers, including 700 foreign military bases in 130 other countries, you live in an empire. President Bush passed something called No Child Left Behind several years ago. Part of it mandated that every high school in the United States turn over the names of every student. The Pentagon has the largest database on the planet of all the youth in the United States. The only way out of it, and some schools make it very difficult, is to get your parents to sign an opt-out form.
In the military, there is a lot of racism, homophobia, sexism. There's a class divide also that isn't talked about. I have a friend who's in Iraq Veterans Against the War, like myself. Her name is Suzanne Swift. Basically, she was forced to have sex with her sergeant. Throughout the whole time, she received the order that she was going to go back again with the same sergeant. And she said, screw this, I'm not going. And she went AWOL. The sergeant who did this to her, he didn't get court-martialed. What the military does in a lot of these instances, they just relocated him to a different base. So then who knows what this guy is doing to other women.
Where I live in Oakland, California, we have a very dangerous place to grow up. We get 100 to 150 kids killed in the streets every year in our city alone. So if you show up with a weapon, you're automatically expelled. Yet at the same time, they're training young people how to use weapons. A bunch of groups in our community came together and we did a concerted campaign to confront them. So we actually measured their windows, made really pretty signs with counter-recruitment slogans on, and we pasted them on all their windows. So we used exterior waterproof wood glue, and that was what the windows of the recruiting station looked like for the next week. We were doing that. There's a clown group that was Clowns for Peace kind of. They were going in there and doing clowning with the recruiters. The Code Pink people were doing like mock bake sales with little cupcakes with soldiers on them. And my favorite was the Raging Grannies, or Grandmothers for Peace. They go in there and say, hey, we want to enlist so that young people don't have to go to war. No, we mean it. We want to enlist. And the recruiters just didn't know what to do. So they actually shut this recruiting center down last year.